Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and if this is your first time here, I am Josh, and this is Working Man Reads. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I will be reviewing Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. Now, quick disclaimer, this is going to be very gushing. I tried to think of a negative about this book, and the only negative would be subject matter for some people that may not be able to handle the words that are in this book. I read a lot of horror, so this is definitely horrific. There are a lot of racist and horrible things that happen to people. And I don't want to spoil anything in this review. This is going to be completely spoiler free. But this is a 2020 release, and this is my first edition hardcover, and I will cherish this thing, actually. I'm probably going to reread it within my lifetime quite a few times. I've already bought it for one friend. I definitely think everyone should read this book without you even watching my review. Please take everyone else's word for it. It's a 4.4 on Goodreads, and it is well-deserved. It is a literary masterpiece. I don't usually read highly lyrical or literary type contemporary fiction or regional lit, but this blew me out of the water, and I will be looking out for more books similarly to this. I know Brad had offered or said to go read Ron Rash and different stuff like that. But let's get into the review. So if I'm looking over here, I'm just looking at my Goodreads review. This is what I wrote. Honestly, it will be tough to put this into words, what this book meant to me as a reader. This honestly is the most lyrically well put together storyline I have ever read. Tiffany McDaniel is immensely gifted and will be an instant buy author for me going forward. I drew so many comparisons to my grandfather and Betty's father, Landon. The horrible hardships that the family goes through in the southern Ohio is gripping. The overarching plot of the struggles females and young women go through in America was fantastic. The deep look at societal expectations for women from the time period was horrid. There was a lot of hopelessness in this book, and there was a lot of light as well. There are a lot of dark moments, but where you will have to take a step back and kind of rethink everything that you're reading. Just to double down on that female expectations, you do get a little bit of feminism coming through here, and I'm a father of what's going to be 2 girls. I have a wife who is a strong, independent woman, and something flew in my eye here, but I definitely picked up on what the author was trying to say, and that is that we've kind of came a long way, but it's never fully finished. Definitely, there's still men out there who don't give women the respect that they deserve, and I couldn't agree more with the author's opinion on that. So it does get a little, not political, there was no politics in this, but it is a little bit leaning towards that, which is great. In this case, it was done tastefully, everything was tastefully done, and it wasn't overly, there was no politics, like I said. So the racism was directed towards the main character and her father, who were slightly more dark-skinned due to being Cherokee Indian or a Native American Cherokee. And they were very proud of their heritage, but they were beaten down because of it almost by their surroundings. So let's read the plot. Oh, real quick, I'll go with that, the female and the gender topics that they talk about in this book. There was a scene where the principal was kind of having a conversation with the main character, Betty, who is actually the author's mother. That's what this whole story is written about, is Betty, who is Tiffany's mother. So the principal is sitting down, and Betty is getting yelled at because she wore shorts to school instead of a skirt or a dress. And dresses are for women, and shorts are for men. That's what this guy was trying to portray. And Betty was basically saying, I wanted to wear shorts. The boys keep lifting up my skirt and abusing me and harassing me, and I just got tired of it and I want to wear shorts. And he basically said, well, you don't see me wearing a skirt around just because it makes me feel better, you know? So it's just stuff like that, where like in the 1950s, it just was a totally different world that these females lived in. All right, so plot, I gave it 5 stars. You follow Betty and her family as she grows up in a world that isn't accepting of her. Her father, Landon Carpenter, is a Cherokee man, and he is deeply proud of his heritage. People throughout his life treated him differently because of his skin color. His daughter, Betty, took after him and resembles his skin color a lot. Betty's siblings did not take after their father as much, and did not bear the brunt of the bigotry like Betty did. Betty grew up as a poor, rich girl, or poor, but rich with knowledge that her father would give her throughout the book. This book tackles heavy topics such as rape, death, racial hatred, and much more. By far, my favorite character was Betty's father. I could not relate to a character more than how I did with Landon. The passages that hit me the most were, it was very emotional, were when they were trying to be when he was trying to be the best father he could for his 3 girls. Betty describing her father's hands and what they showed about the man who wore them will be a lasting memory for me as a reader. I will not spoil anything for this book because it is absolutely fantastic. She basically, there's a passage where Landon is sitting down and talking to her. I'm not going to go through the book and read basically every paragraph that was fantastic, because this book is so well written. This review would be 45 minutes long, but probably one of my favorite, and I haven't seen it as one of the quotes people have selected, but to me it was very impactful. He's sitting there and trying to, he's kind of down on himself. As a father, he feels that he has let his kids down because they haven't been rich, they haven't been wealthy, and he's just looked at as this gardener in town. And Betty looks at his hands and basically says, you can tell everything about my father in his hands, and the fact that he worked for a living and he provided the best life that he could for his kids. And she realizes it, but he doesn't. And it's this like dynamic in the narrative that just was impactful to me. You know, I mean, my daughter will grab my hands and be like, Daddy, hands are rough, you know. And it's an emotional thing as a father, because you're out there busting your ass and trying to provide for your kids, and society might look down on you, but they don't know the real worth of you, if that makes sense. And that's what Landon was trying to say. So it's just mind-blowing. This book was mind-blowing. So writing, I gave it 5 stars. I'm not even going to read what I wrote because I think you get the point. Horror, I did give it a rating for horror, and I gave it 4 stars because of the graphic depictions of horrible acts of violence, and just the horror of the real world that is put within these pages. Is undeniable that this is true life horror. It is horror in its own right. It may not be what I traditionally read on the channel, but I plan on reading more. So overall, I gave it 5 stars. It is a book for the ages. It's probably going to be my top read for the year. I hope more people read this, and please feel free to email me, message me. I definitely want to talk about this book. It's freaking awesome. It's awesome. It's the only book that I actually posted on, telling people to go read this summer on my personal Facebook, which I don't ever post on Facebook. So people were like, holy crap, he posted something. So yeah, there are some top quotes here. I'll read the 2 top quotes as long as they're not spoilery. And if they are, then I will be deleting this part. Don't let it happen to you, Betty. Don't ever be afraid to be yourself. You don't want to live so long only to realize you ain't lived at all. All right, that's a good one. It occurred to me then. All right, so now I'm going to read the synopsis, but thank you guys for stopping by and watching my review. So, a girl comes of age against the knife. So begins the story of Betty Carpenter, born in a bathtub in 1954 to a white mother and a Cherokee father. Betty is the 6th of 8 siblings. The world they inhabit The rural town of Breathitt, Ohio, is one of poverty and violence, both from outside the family and devastatingly from within. The lush landscape, rich with birdsong, wild fruit, and blazing stars, becomes a kind of refuge for Betty. But when her family's darkest secrets are brought to light, she has no choice but to be reckoned with a brutal history hidden in the hills, as well as with a heart-wrenching crueltiness, and incredible characters she encounters. Despite the hardships she faces, Betty is resilient. Her curiosity about the natural world, her fierce love for her sisters, and her father's brilliant stories are kindling for the fire of her own imagination, and in the face of all to which bears witness, Betty discovers and escape. She begins to write. She recounts her horrors of her family's past and present with a pen and paper, and buries them in the dirt, moments that have stung her so deeply she could not tell them until now. Inspired by generations of her family, Tiffany McDaniel sets out to free the past of delivering the heartbreaking yet magical story of a remarkable novel establishes her as one of the most important voices in American fiction. I agree. So that touches on Betty being an author and writes to kind of escape the world that she is currently going through as a child. And it was really cool to see that a child trying to express herself and learn who she is in this world. So shout out to this author. Wow. Can't wait for the next one. All right, guys, have a great day.